Welcome to Conversations with Terry McBride. And I want you to know how much fun I have doing these videos with you. This video is called, Who Do You Think You Are? I invite you again to get underneath the words, get underneath the concepts, and just explore these ideas, and just notice if there's something that you think that you can use to improve the quality of your life. One of the first things I noticed as I was wrestling this health challenge I had, this E. coli infection in my spine, was that a lot of people wanted to put me in a box. The box they accepted for themselves, they wanted me to accept for myself. This was before I got transferred to the University of Washington Medical Center. My orthopedic surgeon had me working with another doctor whose card said, Dr. whatever his name was, Chronic Infection Disease Specialist. And my wife at that time, when she looked at the card, she said, what does chronic mean? I said, I don't know. She went out and found a thesaurus and looked it up, and chronic means never ending, always present, reoccurring. And she looked at me and she said, well, why do you think the orthopedic guy wants you to work with this fella who specializes in infections that never go away? And my first thought was, well, I don't know. So anyway, I go see this guy, and he tells me he's got a support group for some of his patients. Would I like to come to the support group? And I'm thinking, you bet, I need support. I feel like a lost ball in tall grass here. I need support. So I show up, and I'm the youngest guy there. I'm maybe 23, maybe 24. And some of the people in the room were real. I mean, I'm sure there were some that were in their 50s. You know how it is when you're in your 20s. So anyway, this meeting starts, and the doctor says, this guy, why don't you go ahead and start? And so this fellow stands up and says, hi, my name's Frank, and I've had my infection for 35 years. And my little voice inside went, oh my God, he's had his infection for like 11 years longer than I've been alive. And then he talked about how ugly it had been. Then the next person spoke, and then the next person spoke, and they all had these terrible stories about having this infection for 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, 35 years. Finally, everybody's done, and I'm just amazed. I'm just in shock. And everybody's looking at me like it's my turn to say something. And the doctor says, go ahead, Terry. And I said, when are we going to talk about how to get rid of these infections? And this lady next to me says, you're new, aren't you? Well, needless to say, I didn't go back to that group. And what I began to notice that there were support groups out there that didn't really support what I wanted. That support group supported people in living with their disease and learning how to handle it. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to learn how to get well. And when I didn't come back, when I went back to see that doctor one more time to make sure that I could take care of the drains I had from this infection in my spine, he said, Terry, how come you haven't been back to meeting? And I said, I don't want to do that kind of stuff. And he said, who do you think you are, Terry? But it didn't, it wasn't a big challenge, just who do you think you are? Anyway, I got transferred to the University of Washington. I mean, this infection goes crazy. I'm having all these major surgeries, and, I'm having the 9th surgery, the 10th surgery, the 11th surgery, the 12th surgery, the 13th surgery, the 14th surgery, the 15th surgery. This goes on for years. Now, by this time, I'm reading the books. I'm reading these books, and they say that the self-help books, Think and Grow Rich, The Magic of Believing, Psycho-Cybernetics, The Power of Your Unconscious Mind. So I mentioned in the first video, The Hell I Can't, they had sent me to see a psychiatrist, and he's reading these letters saying, here's the reality that you can expect. And I said, I don't want to believe like you do. And he said, who do you think you are? He wasn't He didn't ask, what books are you reading? When I said, these books say there's a part of me that's not sick, he didn't say, what books are you reading? What teachers are you referring to? What he said was, who do you think you are to disagree with my perception of what you can expect in your life? I mean, after all, he had the facts of my life laying on his desk. He had my medical records. He had letters from the doctors. These are the facts of my life. And he said, who do you think you are to disagree with my opinion about what's going on for you? He didn't say that just like in that whole sentence. He just said, here's a reality you can expect. And when I said, I don't want to believe like you, he said, who do you think you are? It's so difficult today. There are so many people today who identify who they are now with their past. I do lectures all over the country. And I'll finish my lectures, or when I go in and I'm, mixing around with people before, people come up and they introduce themselves, and how they introduce themselves is their past, their story. Hi, I'm an adult incest survivor. Hi, I'm the product of a dysfunctional family. Hi, my addictive personality is always leading me astray. Hi, I'm a survivor. Now, there's nothing wrong with identifying who you are now based on your past. There's nothing wrong with creating the story of who you are based on your past, and this is my story of my life. I'm a Sagittarius. You know how Saggies are. Nothing wrong with that, except as long as you identify who you are now with your past, then your past will resurrect itself and become your future. See, the universe says yes. If you stand up and say, I'm a survivor, the universe goes, okay, survive this. So we survive that, and then we declare again, I'm a survivor. And since it's done as you believe, the universe says, okay, survive this. It can be challenging, because we begin to fall into the categories that other people give us. People will come to me and they say, I had cancer years ago, but I did this stuff, and now my cancer is in remission. And I think, why would you want your cancer to just be in remission? Why don't you just say it's gone? Oh, well, you never really heal this stuff. It just goes into remission. That's what they told me. An infection of this magnitude in the bone, like it is in yours, in the spine, it's never going to go away. It might go into remission, but it's never going to go away. So I looked up remission. You know what remission means? The temporary relief of symptoms. It doesn't say anything about the problem. And I was unwilling to have my infection go into remission. I was going to heal it. Of course, the challenge is, who do you think you are to state that you're going to heal this infection? Who do you think you are that you're not going to buy into all this evidence based on your past? And that's one of the challenges. In our culture, we're so busy with all our labels, we forget to explore that aspect of self that isn't your stuff. That aspect of who you are that's not your story. No matter how good your story is, it's still not you. I mean, we talk about it. We say, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. We talk about our power. We have little magnets that we put on our refrigerator. The universe awaits my intention. But when push comes to shove, we begin to identify who we are now based on what's happened before. And what that does is it blocks freedom. The very first article I ever wrote in the area of motivation and wellness was for the JCs years ago when I was in my late 20s or early 30s. And it talked about the choice we have. And even back then, because I'd been in this infection for years, I'd been studying this stuff for years, and the article said you really only have two choices. First choice is you can conform to what other people believe. You can conform to all the evidence you've gathered in your life about this is who you are. Or the second choice is that you can choose openly and freely to be who you want to be. The foundation for one's ability to begin to create the life that they want starts with the answer to your question, who do you think you are? The great scriptures have talked about who you are forever. In the Old Testament it says you're the crowning achievement of the living God. And the scholars who study that kind of stuff say they're not talking in that about you're the crowning achievement of the living God. They're not talking about your spiritual nature. They're talking about who you are as a human being. Your human mind and your human body is the crowning achievement of the living God. What would it be like to begin to perceive ourselves like that? In the New Testament, Jesus says, "Know ye not your sons and daughters of the Most High?" What was he referring to? What was he getting at when he's talking about the truth that's going to allow you to be free? Isn't based on your past, isn't based on what you can prove. The truth that sets you free is a perception of self that may go beyond the evidence that is currently at hand. You and I stand on a threshold where very few people have been. And that threshold is to be able to understand, to really own what it means to be, if you will, a spiritual being having a human experience. That we're able now intellectually to understand that I'm not my story, I'm not my stuff. I'm not sure that people could have got that 100 years ago. But you and I can. Yes, it's challenging today with what's going on in the economy, what's going on in the world. But the place to start, where you and I can start is, I'm not this drama. I'm not the drama of my life. I'm not the story of my life. I am this unique expression of the divine spark. Not my way, your way. You've heard it before. You've read about it. You've heard teachers address it. What would that be for you if you started spending time identifying yourself as that? Around this time, when I was at 14 surgery, or around that time, my second daughter was born. And I got to be present at Sherry's birth. And I didn't get to watch Chris, my oldest daughter, be born in the delivery room because the hospital wouldn't allow that then. But by the time Sherry came along, they did. And I remember as this beautiful new baby girl came into the world, my thought was, as her father, I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to my daughters to love them, to show them and demonstrate through my love that they are magnificent, that they are powerful, and help them become these powerful, capable women. And that I was to love them unconditionally and support them in their dreams. And as I went back into the hospital, because I got out of the hospital to watch her be born, and then I went right back and checked back in that afternoon, or that evening, I was laying in my hospital bed wondering what would happen if I began to see myself as this wonderful blank slate, this wonderful, unique incarnation of the divine. What would happen if I started to view myself like that? What would happen if I spent time loving myself, reassuring myself, supporting myself like I supported and loved my two daughters? You can make your dreams come true. And one of the very first things to be paying attention to is your answer to that simple, simple question. Who do you think you are? Are you your stuff? Or are you this unique expression of spirit? I send you love. I send you joy. And I send you power.